Welcome to
The Movie Girls!
We done did it, first day back. Welcome to season 2 of the Movie Girls, guys.
We were renewed?
Oh my goodness, can you even believe it? Oh, no way.
We were picked up for a second season,
Wow.
guys. This is
all
big news.
5 of our listeners are really dedicated.
I don't think
we have 5.
even.
I know there's definitely a Josh and definitely a Katie. Does anyone else actually listen regularly?
I listen to us
I listen
regularly.
to us too. So does Joel. He has to because he makes it. I don't know.
That's
Does anyone
5.
else legit? Oh, that is 5.
Perfect.
Great. And if we have anybody else that we didn't mention, thank you for being around, and we will mention you next time. There's probably 2 of you, maybe. I don't know. Derek, back in Saskatoon, he listens. I like Derek.
Thanks, Derek.
Hi, Derek.
Number 1 fan, Derek.
Number 1 fan from a different city. It's so nice. Anywho, welcome to season 2.
Oh, season 2.
Yeah.
And you know what? Season 2 is going to be a little bit more thought out, I think.
Yeah.
For example, today,
For example.
We realized that this episode comes out on World Mental Health Day.
Yeah.
Because I've got one of those handy-dandy calendars that tells you all of these made-up holidays.
It's true.
That I don't know who decided that these things were World Mental Health Day, yes, but like National Cookie Day.
Yesterday was National Boyfriend Day. Look, there's always some stupid fucking holiday.
Boyfriends are fine. They don't need a day.
They're good. They're great. They're fine. But yeah, so thank you for sticking with us for a whole season and our hiatus, which was supposed to be temporary, a couple of weeks while we had holidays.
I was moving for
you were moving
the
too.
longest time.
Yeah.
It took me a real long time. I had a month to move, and it was no less stressful than having,
3
a few days to move.
Yeah.
I still end up moving in a few days.
It's great. So yeah, thank you. Sorry for the little hiatus. We back though.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah, fuck you guys. Do what you want.
Oh.
It's our podcast. No? I don't know.
That's a hard left turn.
That did.
Teal only deals in extremes.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. Fuck you!
Fuck yourself. You're fucking welcome.
So anyway, I saw that this was going to be World Mental Health Day, the day that this is released, which is what, October
4th?
No, next week when this is released.
Yes. Will be something else. Don't make
10th?
me do math. No,
11th.
11th is Friday.
11th is World Mental Health
Thursday.
Day. So this...
Or whatever. Check your notebook.
No.
Have an agenda.
This started in 1996, and it turns out they have a theme every year.
Really?
And the very first theme ever was women and mental health.
Oh. Oh, nice.
This year it's counseling the counselors, which is nice. But,
Oh, careful, honey.
So, I decided to choose the movie Girl Interrupted.
Yeah.
Because obviously.
Obviously. I'm very excited.
So let's jump in our little time machine.
Yeah.
Go back to 1999.
Let's.
Let me set the stage. 1999.
Amazing.
It's kind of depressing. It was a depressing year. The Columbine tragedy happened in April. Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee divorced.
Whoa.
President Clinton was acquitted, and George W. Bush announced his candidacy for president. Mm-hmm. And Ricky Mania hits North America.
Ricky Mania?
Yeah, Ricky Martin. Shake a Bon Bon. And boy bands were a really big deal. O-Town.
Oh, I love
Liquid Dreams.
Ugh, you are my nope, just kidding. I was gonna anyway.
So here we are. Are you in 1999? Are you in your
I guess I am.
low-rise jeans?
Yeah.
And
I have to show you my picture of me in 1999.
Perfect.
No, it's not 1999, but it's like 2003 or 4.
How old were you in 1999? You
1999,
were 12?
I was 12.
I was 13.
Mm-hmm. Yay, babies.
And which is, I feel like I saw this movie around that time. Like, I know we rented it from the store in Cardiff, so I was probably closer to like 14.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Probably about the same. I know I think I re-rented it also. So it would have been 2000 to 2001. Mm-hmm. Probably.
Did you watch it with a friend?
I'm pretty sure we had like girls' night or whatever. And we all, because we would do like our little girls' slumber party or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm sure this was one of those.
Every time I went back
familiar.
to Saskatchewan, my cousin Tristan and I always rent a bunch of movies, and that was like our summer. And I know that this is one of the ones we watched. I think that's the only time I've actually seen this movie like start to finish. I know like I've seen snippets of it because it's like always on TV in bits and pieces, but I don't think I've seen the whole thing since then.
Oh, wow.
Till now.
Yeah, I watched it when it came out. I know I've seen it again, but I think it was at least 10 to 15 years ago, so it's been a long time. So I remember it. I know all the big parts. Right. But it's been a long time since I've actually watched it. Definitely not as an adult.
I love
sure.
when I've seen a movie back in the day and then you kind of go back and you look at the cast list and you're like, holy shit, you didn't know who that person was at that time. And then you look now, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie are obviously
unknowns.
main characters. What? Completely unknown. Well, Angelina Jolie was at the time, right?
Yeah.
Clea Duvall. Mm-hmm. Brittany Murphy, Elizabeth Moss. So that was the one that was shocking to me. I was actually like on Wikipedia and I went, what? Out loud. And even looking back at the character that she played, like, doesn't look anything like Elizabeth Moss. Like, I still wouldn't have known unless I'd seen her name written down.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Now I'm thinking I may have watched it
more recently.
Yeah, because once I knew who she was. Maybe. Let me check my IMDb list because I have those. So I can see if I've watched it anytime recently in the last 8 years. Nope. Okay, no, I definitely have not watched it since at least 2011. Because my records only go back to 2012.
Right.
Okay, never mind. I thought I watched it
Maybe you're looking at Elizabeth Moss and you saw that she was in it.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Vanessa Redgrave, Whoopi Goldberg, and then also Jared Leto and Jeffrey Tambor.
Yeah. So, I think it's a wicked cast.
Great cast, 1999, and they're still all relevant today for one reason or another, both good and bad.
Yeah.
So this movie is based on a novel by the same name by Susanna Kaysen. It had a budget of $40 million, and it made just over $48 million at the box office. And reviews are pretty mixed, but Angelina Jolie went on to win like a bunch of Best Supporting Actress awards and gained a lot of fame for this role. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, she was so captivating to me in this role. I was just like, I don't know. She really stuck out to me, and made an impact on me somehow.
Definitely, she was. Yeah, it's funny. Like when I was looking at all of the things she's done, her credits and everything. It's actually not a lot. Do you ever find that with certain actors where everyone knows exactly who they are? Mm-hmm. And then if you actually go back and look at their list of credits, it's like, there's actually not that many.
It's not a lot. It was just impactful.
And she's definitely one of those. And she was young. Like she was 24.
Did you ever see Gia?
No, but I saw, when researching this, it kept popping up. I'm like, well, now I want to watch that. I have a whole many things. No, don't do it? Okay. Great.
You can.
Yeah. Did you know Winona Ryder is older than Angelina Jolie?
I only found that out doing this research. Yeah. Kind of shocking, I guess.
Because she's such a petite, usually plays younger type characters. Yeah. So I just thought she was. I mean, she's only 4 years older. It's not a lot. But, and I remember seeing in the movie, Angelina seems like the oldest of the bunch. Mm-hmm. She's, worldly, knows a lot of stuff. I mean, she is a sociopath, so that kind of makes a difference. But she had that, like, older kind of girl of that, but she wasn't. She was the second oldest, I guess. Like, she was right in the middle of them all. Like
that makes sense. I think that's what's so captivating about Angelina Jolie is that she does seem so worldly and so, I don't know, interesting.
I think, too, it's why she does so well, and maybe in this one because she seems so worldly as a person, so then when her character is that, because her character's young too, so you forget that someone who seems older and worldly actually isn't. And then they have those moments of vulnerability and childlike innocence to them, and you're like, oh fuck, right, they are just a baby, right? They don't actually know, they just seem like it. Like American Beauty. You see that one? Yeah, she like Mina Suvari. Yeah, seems like so old and sexually aware and all that, and then it's like, oh yeah, you're a tiny little baby.
Yeah,
and like,
you're in high school.
Like that was such an amazing scene with her and Kevin Spacey. Finally, they have it's gonna happen. And it's like, oh god, you're a child. Like it's so fucked, and I always find those juxtapositional scenes so captivating.
Good point. So the synopsis of this is just basically the main character, Susanna, after the author, has a nervous breakdown at 18 years old and is checked into a psychiatric hospital. So it's based in, I think, 1967, right?
I think
I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, tell me about this cocktail.
Okay, so this cocktail.
It's my favorite color.
It's so pretty. It's this beautiful lavendery, lilac-y purple. I had a really hard time picking a cocktail for this because... Well, what do you do? It's not like it's an obvious thing. Like if we were going to watch Mean Girls, it's going to be a pretty pink cocktail and it's going to be Wednesday and you know what I mean? There's things you could pull from. This one, she a little bit tough. That like whatever truck outside is very loud. This one is a little bit tougher because there's not really much to go on that's obvious. So I went with the one of the good quotes from Susanna when she's talking to her doctor after she's admitted, and he's like, you chased a bottle of aspirin with a bottle of vodka. She's like, I had a headache. So I wanted to make sure I had vodka in this, which there is. I also it's vodka and gin, but it's the Arbutus Distillery. It's their blue gin, which is infused with lavender, and lavender is a very good soother for headaches and migraines.
Nice.
So I went with that. So it's a vodka cocktail with soothing lavender for your headaches. So it's an elderflower martini. It's an ounce of gin. Again, it's the Arbutus blue gin, which is very nice. An ounce of vodka, an ounce of the Saint Germain elderflower liqueur, which I've always wanted to buy. I'm so excited. And 2 ounces of homemade sweet and sour mix, which is just simple syrup, lemon juice, and lime juice. You mix them together. It's not that intense, but it's good. And apparently, too, you squeeze a wedge of lime into the glass first, shake all the ingredients vigorously in a shaker, and strain into a martini glass. So it's fairly simple, but it's pretty, and I hope it tastes good. So cheers to episode 1, season 2 of the Movie Girls.
It's pretty, bitch.
Pretty bitch. Why is that happening?
Oh, that is strong.
It's strong, I told you.
But it's nice.
Yeah. Like it's 3 ounces of alcohol. But the Saint Germain isn't that, I don't think, high content. That's actually really good, and I like it a lot.
That's a sipper. Ooh.
Ooh, it is. I like it, though. She do.
I like it, too. It's nice.
That is kind of fun. I like that. The elderflower liqueur, when I opened it, smells like that lychee liqueur we use for Joy Luck Club, which I kind of like because it's got that sweetness to it. I like it.
It's good.
I'm excited. And it's pretty. It's purple.
So pretty.
OMG. Okay. Shall we
Let's watch
start the show?
movie.
All right. See you later. Technology. I was singing technology.
Oh. I heard Ted Laundry.
Ted Laundry. I said technology.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Spooktober.
Spooktober.
Spooktober, Spookfest.
Spooky Halloween.
That was a bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
That movie's much longer than I remember. 127 minutes.
That's a long ass movie.
Teal goes, we're almost done. And then she hits pause and it's like,
Almost
exactly.
half. Oh, yeah.
It was exactly halfway, I think. And we were both like, oh.
I thought for sure it was not.
No.
We were not halfway through. It was fine. I don't know. I think I was more like, I don't know, affected by it or whatever before.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I think I was expecting affection? Affectation?
Affectation?
It
is a word. I just don't think it's
it's not appropriate
the right word.
use. Yeah, I think I was expecting an emotional response from myself.
Yeah.
And I don't have one.
Me too.
So much, I guess.
It felt very surface level suddenly.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid,
it really hit.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So edgy.
And
for the
deep
time?
and maybe. And I thought for sure that I would have more of a connection, more of an understanding, more of a personal like way to relate to it because I mean it's been at least 10 or so years since I've watched this, but also especially in the last few years I've been so much more aware of and working on my own mental health that I thought for sure this time I'm like, okay, this shit's gonna hit because I'm aware of what's happening in my own brain a little bit more.
Yeah.
Not so much.
No.
Also, is there a cat in your notes?
I drew a cat because I love
In
cats.
your notes.
Yeah.
I got distracted by how cute that was. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I'm glad you said that because that's how I was feeling too, but I didn't know how to put words to it. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Pens down. Can't help.
Clicking away. Well, let's go back a bit and talk
Yeah.
about how the movie got made and everything because I'm sure you have some of the same information that I do, but basically I read that Winona Ryder broke up with Johnny Depp in like 1993, or they broke up. I don't know what the circumstances were. Did you read about that?
No, you always find really interesting articles that I never.
I didn't find a ton, but this was a thing.
I told you I had 5 hours of research and I don't have very much at all.
I had 20 minutes minutes of research.
You already have more than me.
So, no, not at all. But Winona Ryder broke up with Johnny Depp in 1993, and apparently she fell into deep depression. Sorry, having a lot of trouble with the words and the talking.
Also, we're both very, like, I think, stuffy and nasally, so
yeah, or a little sick.
quality of
Sorry
the
about
old
it.
voices is definitely on the low end.
But she ended up checking herself into an inpatient psychiatric care for a few days. And
I did see that, yeah.
When she got out, her father, who was like, I think a collector of rare books or some such, gave her a copy of this book. So she'd wanted to make this movie for like, I think 7 years.
I saw that part, but I
Okay.
did not know about... Yeah, I knew she checked herself into the into a hospital in 91 because she was suffering from depression,
So we have
anxiety
different dates.
attacks,
I've got
and
93.
exhaustion.
So maybe whatever I got, I don't know, Wikipedia.
Early 90s. Let's go with early
90s, or it's not right at all. Who knows? Yeah. We tend to do single source research on these things. But so she went to make this movie, I guess, and found out a week earlier the rights had actually been bought by whoever
some dude.
the
Doug.
director is.
His name is Doug something.
Doug something?
Doug
Wick?
something. Yeah, maybe?
I have the name Wick, but I don't have the name Doug. I don't know.
Dr. Wick's chick?
So she ended up connecting with him to get this movie made, and wasn't she like an executive, some such
I think
producer?
this was one of her first producery type roles, if not the first, at least the beginning of
right. And
that
I think she
aspect of her career.
handpicked the director, James Mangold, too, who they said was reluctant, I think, to take this on, and then somehow came around to it. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, I saw he didn't think that, because the character of Lisa is not in the book, I don't believe. That's just made up for Hollywood nonsense, which was what Susanna Kaysen, the author, like, she didn't like love the movie. Well, she didn't love the movie. She also was not really into the she was very interesting. I read some, I'll get to that. Anyway, I think Lisa was not a character in the actual memoir, and they made that up, and the director, James Mangold.
A man made of gold.
A man made of gold. That's probably how all men see themselves. Anyway, that was rude of me. Fuck them, they're fine. He was positive, like, completely positive that no one would ever be able to pull off the role of Lisa. And then he said that Angelina Jolie's, it was a cold read audition that she did, was the most compelling thing he'd ever seen, and it was just perfect. It was so almost terrifying how amazing she was in it.
Oh my gosh, that bit when you could just see her eyes through like the slit in the door, and it was like that kind of chilling music. I was like, ooh, this took a turn that I don't quite remember.
Yeah, she knows how to smize in all the ways. But it's amazing what you can do with just your eyes, and barely really moving, but you could read so much into that, just seeing that little 2 by 6 inch square of her eyes. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. Do we want to talk about Susanna Kaysen?
Yeah, I was just looking up because I'm like, I think Lisa was real, but I think what they did was they took a lot of liberties with the script, like the bit where they ran away together. She was upset about all the things that were added for Hollywood. She called it melodramatic drivel. Yeah. And I think she's a bit of a kook in the best way.
Yes.
I read some of her interviews, and she's just a little standoffish, maybe. She wrote these books in a very specific way for a specific reason. It was kind of getting out her rage, and I guess her husband's like an anthropologist, and she said she wanted to write the books from an anthropological perspective. I don't know what that means, but girls were coming up to her and saying, like, I'm so glad you wrote this book, it meant so much to me. And she's like, well, it's not for you.
Yeah.
Shit, girl. Which, I mean, fair, but I mean, that's what it was. And it did mean something to people, but her reaction to it was just something of...
Yeah. I think she didn't expect it, and it's not...
It's almost like she's trying to separate herself from it now, which is, I don't know. I'm not an author. I can't relate, but...
Yeah, she said definitely it's not. Or what? I found a quote. Oh yeah, Kaysen feels that her story, helped along by the movie adaptation, has taken on a life of its own. And she's quoted, I just feel like I didn't even write this book. I guess whatever that book is, it just has nothing to do with me anymore, if it ever did. It has become something else, and it doesn't belong to me. I shouldn't have any commentary on it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's so far... End quote. It's just so far removed from what... Well, yeah, she wanted to do this, like, almost like anthropological study of her time, which just is like a separate outside fly on the wall kind of look at things. And a lot of women, or a lot of people, women especially, really related with what she was talking about, and she was definitely not expecting that.
Right.
And it wasn't what she wanted or intended, and it's not the outcome that she had in mind, and just didn't relate with that, and that, like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always good when people relate to things, especially in a positive way.
It is. And when you put your art into the world, you can't control how it affects people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you should ever be... I don't know. You can't have any expectations of how people are going to be affected by what you put out in the world. Mm-hmm. And it's just odd to me when people are upset by people being touched by something that they created. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just, I don't know. For me, it's a weird reaction. But like I said, I think she's just kind of an interesting sort of lady, and who knows?
Yeah, it definitely...
It's very one-dimensional.
Yeah, it definitely is a super weird reaction. But then also, I don't know, I mean, everyone's reaction, that's your reaction. That's totally
exactly
fine.
Yeah.
It's interesting to put something out and to have people positively respond and relate to something that you've done, and then
be put off by that.
Yeah. And again, if that's wasn't your goal, so fair enough. Everyone's allowed to react their own way. It's just, it's an odd thing. Definitely, if people had found it negative and were angry about it, yeah, you should be put off by that. But to have people be positive and feel helped by what you've done,
well, that's not what it was for. Yeah, how dare you?
Yeah, it's an interesting,
she's
unexpected
interesting lady. Who knows?
Look at that, or a viewpoint.
For sure.
I mean, it's always good when anybody finds help in what somebody else has done. That's great.
I think so.
Yeah, dunno.
That's all I have about the movie.
Amazing. Great. Let me see what I have. I looked up a lot of I went on Wikipedia, which I never do because you always call it Wikipedia. But I was running out of things.
Rude.
I know. But and then the first thing was like, it was listing off all the characters and all of their disorders and things. So then I just looked up what all of those were, which was interesting. So I just did a lot of like delving into schizophrenia and pathological lying and OCD and sociopath, which apparently is more known as, or properly known as, antisocial personality disorder,
right? Which
I didn't know. But I think that's common knowledge, but it wasn't common for me. Didn't know.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, and then looking into like the differences between sociopath and psychopath, which is interesting. So that was a lot of my notes, but I think that was more just for me because I was interested. My movie bits that I found off IMDb that were interesting. Oh, the name comes from a painting. Girl Interrupted at Her Music by Johannes Vermeer, 1660 to 1661. Anyway, tiny little tidbit.
Yeah, I know I read that too, but did you read like she was like having an affair with her professor and he took her to this museum or something, and that's where she saw the painting? And I think it's interesting because how she wrote the book, from what I hear, and how the movie was shot, it's kind of like bits and snippets, and she says she wasted a year of her life. So I kind of love how it correlates, like her life was interrupted. This girl was interrupted for a year and had this crazy experience that she's going to carry on with her forever, but it wasn't, I don't know, that wasn't her path at the time. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. It's genius.
Well, and such an interesting thing too, watching this, knowing that Winona Ryder's character is based on the author herself, and at the end saying she had wasted a year of her life and etc. It's like, yeah, but you wasted a year of your life and got help that you needed. Yeah. And made improvements and are able to function as a human being. That seems like a very useful year, but hey, you know what? What do I know? It's not my life. Again, it doesn't seem like a wasted year.
I don't think so.
Any sort of improvement on yourself seems like a win.
Seems like a win. Because you notice in the beginning, it's like everybody around her can't relate, or she can't relate to them, like her professor that she's sleeping with, or her friend's dad. I don't know what the situation is. He's a professor, not her professor. Yes. And he like was basically telling her she was being morbid when she was talking about death, and she was like, I'm just talking. And her parents, like you said, they were just very concerned about outward appearances. Yeah. And not so much delving in any deeper than that. So when she goes off to the hospital, psychiatric care facility, very nice. She ends up bonding with these girls because she can finally have somebody to relate to and to talk about things with and not worry about how it's going to be perceived. Like you can say anything to these girls and they're just like, yeah, let's
because like we all know, she knows, her doctors know, she's not, I don't know the proper way to say it, but like clinically, what's the better word for, I don't want to say insane because that's not right, but
well, it was the 60s.
It was, but like they have these disorders that are debilitating. They don't allow you to be in society on your own, and she doesn't have those extreme versions
right.
of
Well, like
disorders.
Whoopi Goldberg says to her, like, you're just, what is it? You're just being remember when she's like throws her in the tub and says you're a spoiled little girl or something like that?
Oh yeah, she just because she knows that she definitely has issues that she needs to work through, but they're work throughable. She can do them, whereas a lot of those other girls very likely may never get out of there, will never be able to work through them, because some of those things, even with therapy and pharmaceuticals and the right mixes of the right drugs meant to help chemically adjust your brain, she might never ever get out of there. And she wasn't like that, or she didn't have that much of an issue or whatever. I know I'm fucking up all of the right sayings for these, but anyway, oh shit, I had a point. Fuck. I had a point and I
believe
lost it. Whatever. Anyway, balls.
No, but I know exactly what you were trying to say.
Thank you. I don't. Thank God for you.
Great.
Anyway, it just was interesting. It was it was an interesting look at it. Oh. Is it there? Is it there? It's percolating. Yeah, the whole point was that watching it, knowing what Susanna Kaysen, the real person, went through and her views on this, watching it from that perspective. Yeah. Again, see, that was it, and I lost the thread. Shit. That was the point of it. I thought it would come back as I was saying it out. It's not forming. Anyway. Okay, new point. Fuck that point. Oh yes, the one we were going to talk about Jared Leto. So, little, like, IMDb trivia bit about Angelina Jolie. She avoided any communication with Winona when making the movie, claiming that if she saw anything human about her, she wouldn't have been able to act out the sociopath that Lisa was as effectively. Which, of course, people are like, I don't know, don't really get that. It's like, how would you do that? Well, it's kind of methody, and it's hard to do those and act out those really shitty things to someone who you know is a person, but if you just don't get to know them and just like sequester yourself away, it's easier to behave that way. Which made me think about, it just makes me think about the whole method acting thing, which of course is something that I look into and I'm curious about. It's not my personal method of and practice and way that I look at acting, which is just my own thing. The line between making sure you do the work you need in order to get the performance required, like not talking to your co-star so that you don't get too chummy and therefore it affects your work. Then there's the extreme version, which we'll be talking about with Jared Leto, and how he does his shit to get his shit done, but who gives a shit about everybody else? Big example being him playing the Joker in Suicide Squad. How he was just a fucking terror of a human being to all of his co-stars. And it's such a weird debate because it's like, I get what you're doing because the Joker is a psychopath, and just does everything he can to fuck with everybody else. So it's like, okay, I get what you're doing because you're like, well, fuck everybody else's thing. Like, it's so disrespectful to not respect your other co-stars' own methods and ways of doing their craft. But you're just so disrespectful about it to make sure you do your own thing.
Yeah, it's very
disruptive. But then it's like, it's so disruptive. But then it's like, okay, well, I get it too, because that's exactly what the character requires, is to not give a shit. But also, you're still to be a professional human.
Well, I feel like the difference being that everybody knew that was Angelina Jolie's goal.
Yeah.
This is why I'm doing the thing. Whereas I feel like Jared Leto probably just did whatever the fuck he wanted, didn't ask for permission. And everybody else was like, what the hell?
And, like, you get the performance, and that character he was going for didn't give a shit what everybody else was going for. I don't know. Like, where do you draw the line between your way of getting a performance while respecting those you're working with? But then what if your character is someone who doesn't give a shit what everybody else is doing? Like, where is that line?
Right, but there are boundaries.
There have to be boundaries. And yeah, because when Jared Leto kind of popped up is when we started kind of talking about him and who he was. I was like, I have this note. Like, we can talk about. Because, I definitely go back and forth on that all the time. Like, the core of me is like, fuck off, don't do that shit. Like, that's such a shitty way to be an artist. I hate it so much. But I understand it, but I don't like it. And I try to think of what I would be like if I was on that set and trying to work alongside someone like that.
That would be off-putting.
You'd be so angry, but then it's like, well, then you'd give the performance that is required to match that person. But also, fuck you, I have my own shit. I want to do my own thing. You don't get to dictate my performance just because it works for your performance. Like, go fuck yourself, you selfish prick. But then the character is a selfish prick. So, it just goes like circle, circle, circle. But anyway, whatever. That's all I have. I think that was most of my notes. See, I told you I had a lot of notes and it didn't really do much. Oh. Yeah, I had like cast trivia. But...
Oh, what's your trivia?
Well, nothing is really that interesting according to... Like, in relation to the movie. The one thing I liked about Winona Ryder, did you know she's a huge fan of Grey Gardens?
Is she?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Everyone likes that. Yeah, the Where's Jamie scene when she's freaking out about where Jamie went, is she inspired that by her brother, whose name is Jamie? Well, it's James, but she calls him Jamie.
Oh, okay.
Kind of a whatever. I got into I delved in, I did not know about all the controversy or conspiracy theories about Brittany Murphy's death. I didn't know about that.
Right.
I'm an innocent little baby, don't know anything.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of bits.
I don't
have a lot of bits.
5 hours of research.
I know. I have I have so many pages of notes. I told you, it's just about the stuff that was interesting. I was looking up all the disorders and all of the different things that they had.
Well, we can talk about that a little bit. I was just reading up a little bit about like the history of women and mental health. There's a really interesting page that I found that like goes back to like ancient Egypt, and then it's like the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, and goes on to today about like how mental health was treated with women, because basically like the women are the ones that brought evil into the world. So it goes back to like, she's a sorceress, she's a witch, she's got the devil in her because of Eve and the apple. Damn it, Eve, just ruin it shit for the rest of us.
For God's sake.
Damn it.
I mean, we learned that it's obviously David Tennant's fault.
Huh? Oh. I get it.
It's his fault.
It is fault. I read that depression is the most common women's mental health issue. No marked gender difference in the notes of severe mental health issue disorders like schizophrenia and bipolar, however. It's because it's such a small percentage of the population that's affected by this. I think I read like 2% of the population as far as like schizophrenia goes. So there haven't been a lot of studies done based on gender. But as far as depression, like severe life events like loss, inferiority, humiliation, entrapment can predict depression. So when you just think about like a woman dealing with gender discrimination, malnutrition, domestic violence, and sexual abuse, like of course we're going to be predisposed to these mental health issues. And then you look back in the day, like women would be locked away for being hysterical, quote unquote. And this goes back to like the earliest times. Hysteria was a thing, and usually it like came down to our weak uteruses.
I know, right?
Right? Like
go
just
fuck yourselves.
The most ridiculous thing.
My uterus alone. No uterus, no opinion.
So if you think about this movie, and if it was about a man who is struggling, what would the reaction have been? Would his storyline have been the same as Winona Ryder's was, and she's put away for 18 months to deal with this thing? I don't know. It's just funny how women are the ones that are being hysterical. And
yeah, I think, it all kind of goes back to, all the things we've been watching the last, years, but a few months in our media with like the American politics and stuff, and how all these women are, everyone says women are too emotional, too hysterical to lead, but you see all these amazing women in Congress that are getting voted in that are just, and like Greta, and so many women and girls and that are standing up and speaking so calmly and eloquently and passionately, but with control. And then you see all these men, like obviously like Trump, but like all the Kavanaugh stuff and all those things where they're just basically having hissy fits.
Just having a complete breakdown.
Yeah, they're losing their shit. And yet we're the ones that are hysterical? Like, come now. That's enough.
Take
like
several seats.
It's time to stop that. And that it's hard too, because on the flip side, it's hard not to feel empathetic towards men and boys because they're raised being told that they're not to
Be emotional.
don't be emotional, don't cry, don't have any of those issues. They're not allowed to express their emotions. And of course that's going to make them bury it, and then they fucking lose their shit, and that's how they, I don't know, it's not an excuse or anything, but you can see how those patterns happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Emotions are not weaknesses. They're just emotions. They're just things.
Yeah.
They're things we all have, and if you don't deal with them, they come back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
But, anywho. Anything else?
That's all I have.
I know. I have so little. I thought for sure this was going to bring all kinds of
I thought the
stuff.
movie was going to awaken all of these things. It's a fine movie. It's not at all a bad movie. I just think that things don't always translate, 20 years later?
Yeah. And its reviews are mixed. I mean, even on Netflix, it's 2.5 stars, which is very low
yeah, that's
for Netflix.
pretty low.
Its IMDb is low.
Because the performances are wonderful.
They're very well done.
And I think that really carries the movie very, very far.
Yeah, and it just...
I think it's because it's like, it just feels like
7.
they had to wrap it up. Like, they had to take it through this story, and then conflict, and then resolution, and then wrap it up with a nice tidy bow, and send it on its way. And
we all know mental health isn't that.
We always have this, that's the thing. And we always talk about things being like Hollywoodized.
Yep.
Is that a word?
We're making it
that's,
one.
Yep.
It's a movie girl's word.
It's a movie girl's word. So I would love to see this grittier, more realistic, modern day. Mm-hmm. I'm not about remakes, but let's remake it.
Or just look and have another movie more stories about the things that are happening now. Like mental health and mental illness and mental struggles are prevalent, mm-hmm. and it's much more commonly talked about now. Mm-hmm. In the media, with our friend group, with each other, with everybody. People are much more open about
World Mental Health Day.
Yeah, or speaking about what's happening with them. And just because if you're struggling with something, that's fine. Mm-hmm. That's okay. That's all right. So I'm sure lots of other people are. You're not alone. There is no alone. Or there doesn't have to be. You don't have to be alone. And trying to change that stigma of that and what these mental struggles are, and even just in the way we talk about things, like the I can't remember which girl, Daisy has the obsessive compulsive disorder, mm-hmm. And just even that, like we have to start changing the way we use words. Like people always we use OCD so flippantly, mm-hmm. like, oh, my house is so clean because my OCD kicked in. Well, no. No, you don't have OCD.
Yeah,
you just
diagnosed.
have a little bit of an anal personality type. Doesn't mean you have a disorder, and it just diminishes that for people that genuinely do struggle with that, because it is a struggle. Mm-hmm. It is such a thing you can't get out of, and it's just when people are flippant and ignorant about things like that, or saying crazy and saying, oh my god, this is so insane. No, it's not. Like, we have to try to change the way we use words, mm-hmm. in such a weird way. And again, that's the PC police gonna be like, oh god, everyone's so sensitive. No, we're not. Just stop using.
No, I mean, we don't call people retarded anymore.
No,
right?
It's such an unacceptable thing to say.
We have to keep evolving, or what?
Yeah. What are we gonna be? I don't know. Yeah, it's lazy vocabulary is what it is. Is it really so fucking hard to find a new word to say something? No, you're just being a lazy shit. Stop saying stuff. Stop saying things that can be hurtful to others.
Stop it.
Yeah, it's not about not offending everybody. It's just don't be shitty to people.
Yeah.
Just make your goal to be a kind human being. If that's the only thing I remembered for, I could be happy with that. If the first thing you say of is, what do you think about when you think about Teal? Oh, she was really kind. Sweet.
She was a very intense method actress.
Yes,
she sent me
really
a rat.
Shit.
I didn't understand why.
She sent me a rat.
Is that what Jared Leto did? He sent somebody a rat.
Probably. Fuck. Yeah. And like, it's the kindness is such an interesting thing, and not niceness, because nice is very surfacey. Whatever. That's nothing. But kindness is such an easy thing to do, and it's just a matter of thinking about other people and treating them the way you they would like to be treated, or just asking them how they want to be treated, and then do the thing. Anyway, I don't really. I
You know
just
what
was
they say:
expecting
do unto others as you would have done unto you. But schizophrenia, just do unto others.
Seriously? Oh my god, ridiculous. Anywho, yeah. I thought there was gonna be more stuff with this.
I thought there was gonna be a breakthrough. Hey,
Hey.
Sometimes there isn't,
And that's okay.
That's okay.
All right. Questions, I suppose. Time for the questions?
Oh, questions! I forgot about the questions. It's been so long.
So wait, do I ask you? You ask me.
Fuck
it. I'll ask you.
Oh.
No, you ask me.
Ask
each other? There's the question. You go look. You tell me.
Did you like it?
Yes. I did like it, but yeah. Not as much as I remember liking it, and not as much as I expected to again.
Fair. I still think Angelina's just as captivating as ever.
Yeah. I did so much when I was doing my research yesterday. I was reading so much about her. She just seems like a very interesting, good person. Mm-hmm. She's an interesting gal.
She is an interesting gal.
Yeah, I liked reading about her. She seems like a neat lady.
Who would you recommend it to?
Oof. That is tough.
It is kind of tough.
That is tough.
You should watch this movie.
I don't honestly know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Any ideas on that one?
Mm-mm.
I mean, we both watched it when we were quite a bit younger, and I think we maybe resonated with it more. Maybe? I don't know. But I don't know. Even then, I'm not even sure.
Not sure.
Eh.
What mood should you be in to watch it? I know, these are
Probably
tough.
Yeah, they are. Usually this is so easy. Maybe a chiller mood. I don't think you want to be all, hopped up on emotions and whatnot. But maybe. I don't fucking know. This is hard.
You don't have to know.
I don't think these are answerable questions this round.
That's fine. Well, then let me ask you this.
Okay.
What would you rate it?
Ooh. Oh, wait. Forgot about this part. I would rate it 2 tellings off of a nosy old bitch out of 4 very good great kitties.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's not a 2 out of 4.
2 out of 4?
2 good tellings off, but like out of potential of 4 good kitties.
Okay. That's
yeah.
nice.
What would you say?
I would say 3 week-old roast chickens
Nice.
shoved under your bed.
Mm-hmm.
Out of 10 draft dodgers.
Ooh. My.
I was going to use kitties too, and then you took it, so I was like, fuck.
Don't ask questions first. No, still, you knew it was going to be kitties.
Oh, well, thanks. That was nice, actually. I'm glad we got to rewatch that for the first time in, I don't know, 20 years almost for me.
Yeah. It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Ooh, this did came out.
This did came out. This did came out.
This came out 20 years ago.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah. Shit, yeah.
Shit, yeah.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah.
Well, tune in next week. We're going to have some spooks.
Ooh,
because it is
store. Spooky Halloween month.
Because, the women in scary movies.
Oof. Yeah, we're going to go over some strong, badass women.
It's going to be fun. It might even spill into November. Who knows? Mm-hmm. This is my favorite time. I like scary movies. Teal, not so much.
And I am actually, I am choosing a scary movie for next week. And then I have another one. I picked the Halloween one.
You are picking the Halloween movie.
I have to pick the Halloween movie, so there's lots of pressure, and I can't cop out because I don't like scary things.
It's gonna have to be the scariest.
I promise I will make good Halloweeny, spooky Halloween choices.
Yeah, make good choices, Teal.
I will make good choices. Next week, I think, is a good one. I'm excited for next week.
I'm excited for next week.
I haven't seen the movie.
Neither of us have seen this movie, and
you haven't seen it either?
I haven't seen it either.
And we all know everything about it.
And everybody's seen this movie.
Everyone's seen
But
this
not
movie.
us.
Not us.
Which is unusual, because we've usually seen all the things.
Yeah, we rarely have one where neither of us have seen this. Yeah. This is
I think because this one's maybe just a smidge before our time.
Yes.
And we had no reason to go back and watch it, but
it's true.
Now we have a reason.
It's going to be good. So I
hope so.
So we started off the month looking at our mental health and making us helping us to be in a good spot for spooky Halloween.
Yep, and then we're just going to plunge into the depths of insanity.
Oh, we're going to be scared. There will be hiding in blankets. I'll make sure I wear a baggy shirt so I can hide in it.
All right.
because I need to turn off the lights. It's going to be great.
Spooked over.
All right, we will see you guys next week. Thank you for coming back. It's been really nice to have a little break. We needed it. And we'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Fuck you!